I've grown comfortable enough with this wave. I'm actually surprised how comfortable I feel with it. And I think part of that was from coming in the beginning and only seeing Garrett's mentality of, oh yeah, it's good, we can do it. But he would also be like, this is serious, but I just kind of didn't know, you know? So just going into it with the mentality of, it's okay, we can do it. Yeah, it gave me some confidence, and I've spent some time out there, so I have some confidence, but also it's like it's almost all false confidence, you know? It's like, it still makes me super nervous to go out there anytime. Yeah, all the experiences that I've had have added to all that confidence, right? Because anytime I get pounded, I realize, oh wow, this is the kind of power that we're dealing with, you know? Anytime I misread something or don't prepare properly, I see, oh wow, there's consequences. If I misjudge the wave even a little bit and the whitewash gets me and eats me, it's like, that's not worth it. So all these little things come into play, and yeah, it keeps adding to the confidence, and that seems to be the most important thing, honestly, out there, because it's the doubt in one's own self and the fear that causes a hesitation, and then you get stuck and it creates bad things to happen. Whereas with the confidence of, okay, I believe in my choice that I'm making in this moment to go over this wave in this way, and you just commit to it. And then if it doesn't work out, you got the confidence in your training, you know, in your gear. And then if your gear fails, your flotation stuff, you got the confidence in, you know, your ability to just survive it, hold your breath and stay focused. Yeah, so the confidence is in levels in terms of like the gear and preparedness, and just making the right decisions and believing in what you're doing is the name of the game out there. It's like that's what she's teaching us in some way. It was the middle of last season that we were here, and Gigantes de Nazaré, they were holding this competition, and I got the opportunity to be in it. Garrett asked, you know, they invited through Garrett, I think Garrett just was kind of asking on my behalf, you know, and seeing if I wanted to be in, and it felt good. Got to go out there and compete for a couple days in some big surf. The evening before that big day, the 8th, it was pretty big. It was coming in not as clean. And we went out, our team went out, Garrett, Cotty, Alamau, and myself, and nobody wanted to surf at that moment. And all day I felt this calmness that I was just like I was just gonna do whatever I'm gonna do. And I felt calm about it. And that evening, I caught a couple waves, but the last wave I caught was the biggest wave of my life up until that point, for sure, and it was really exciting, and everyone's stoked. Wow, you did it, you charged, way to go. And then I went to bed with that night, feeling really good and cool, but also knowing that it was gonna be bigger and cleaner the next day. And so when I woke up the next morning, I still had that calmness, but there was definitely a nervousness and angst, you know, and I think that was coming from knowing that I'm pushing and pushing and pushing. I'm pushing my limits more and more, and yeah, I could feel this day it was pushing my limits. It was the biggest surf I've ever been out in, for sure, biggest and cleanest, the craziest. There's just people everywhere, jet skis everywhere. It was really intense. So, you know, that whole morning I felt complete already from the night before, catching the wave, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna support the team in whatever way I can, be out there, be ready. And yeah, we get out there in the surf. It's huge and glassy when we first get out there, and there's this moment, we were waiting for the spotter to arrive on the cliff so everything's safe and right, and Garrett kind of wanted a wave, Cotty kind of did too, and then it went from the sweet glass to just like a little offshore, added a little bit of bump. Things changed. Now Garrett didn't want to wave so much. Cotty was keen. Cotty went in, got some, and you know, made all his waves. We kept it safe, and I was really trying to just like watch the team operate in this giant surf, you know. And yeah, and then Cotty was done, and they kind of look at me, do you want some? And it was one of those moments where I just knew I was gonna say yes. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm ready, let's do this. I was ready, and we sit, and Garrett's towing me, so I go, and he asks, he's like, okay, you ready? Like, ready for a set wave? You know, I'm seeing the bombs come in, I'm seeing, you know, Chumbo, and, you know, Justine, and Von Rupp and all them, like catching some bombs, like a little out of the waves I was getting. And I'm like, all right, let's do it, go for a good first peak one. And they're calling the set, coming. There's a set coming in, and boom, we see the first wave. And it's like, yeah, this is the wave. Okay, we just knew it. He looked back at me. I say, yeah, okay, we get up, do a little turn. I'm up and I'm right into the thing. We're sitting right in the spot, right at first peak, and he starts putting me on, and it's starting to peak up, right? I can see that I'm like right in front of the lighthouse here, and I can feel like the wedge coming from the canyon, and it looks like it's shaping into, and it's gonna throw and barrel. So I'm in my way, I'm trying to be deep enough to where I can come through. I'm trying to get barreled. I'm like, all right, this is the biggest wave ever. I'm gonna charge this thing. I'm gonna surf it the best way I can, So boom, I'm going and not wanting to sling myself too far down the wave. In hindsight, I may have done that a little bit more, but I kind of just gave myself my little slingshot, and I come out, then I let go of the rope, and I'm like starting to find this thing, and as this sideways wedge is coming in, it starts doubling up and starts sucking up, and I'm like really right on the top, on the peak, and I'm trying to find my way to hold my rail and ride, through the barrel, hopefully, but stay in the pocket and ride towards the channel, obviously. I'm setting up, it's going steeper, it's sucking up. It feels like it's drawing me up the wave, like I'm not even going forward anymore. And it was like roller coaster, like click, 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 click. And in that, there was this frozen moment where I'm on top of the thing, not going fast enough, hardly moving, and it's about to like let me down, I hope. And I see like the cliff, I can feel the thousands of people there watching, I can see the jet ski there, Laurent, the film crew was there, and boom, just this whole big vision, and then in that moment, it just lets me go. Elevator dropping out, it was a huge wave. I was definitely 40 feet above sea level, maybe 50 feet. I'm almost at the top of this wave, and zoom, it lets me go, and it's so fast. I can't hold my rail like I wanted to, so I just kind of I didn't choose to straighten out. I thought I was trying to hold my rail, but boom, I'm just going down this thing, the fastest I've ever gone on a surfboard by far, like at least 50 miles an hour. Flying straight down. My stomach's like lost. I'm immediately just, holy shit, this is the ride of my life. I can't explain the feeling of how much attention was just in my being, how much I needed to be like, stay on, don't fall, stay on, don't fall. I'm leaning all the way back. I'm as low as I can be with my hands out. Flying down, maybe leaning a little too far back. I think in hindsight, if I was leaning forward, maybe I went faster, but I don't know. I'm leaning back. I'm like, don't pearl, don't fall up here, stay on. Flying down, going faster than I want to be going, and now I see the shadow coming. I feel the blow up. I'm like, this is you gotta make it through this. You've gotta make it through this whitewater to have a chance. I still think I'm like surfing it pretty good, I don't realize I'm at the bottom of the thing. So I'm like, if you make it through this whitewater push, you can make a bottom turn and get somewhere further away from here, Covers up, it goes black. I'm in the whitewater black. I'm leaning way back. I'm like this with my hands out trying to do wings so the whitewater will like put me out, and somehow it does, and all of a sudden from the foam I like see the light through the mist, and I just think, holy shit, I made it. And then I feel the board hit flat water again, and it's immediately, I'm still going as fast as I was, and I'm like trying to find the board. I'm like, oh my God, I made it. And the moment I think like bottom turn, like turn that way. Something happened. This like arm comes across my midline, catch a rail. I just got hooked right off the board. So I'm at the bottom, right at the bottom of the whitewash, and it sends me over this way, and I go flying, and just instinctively I put my arm out like this to catch my fall. Boom. There was no thinking. So I was like, oh my God, I gotta make it. I made it. And now all of a sudden I'm in the air falling in the worst spot. So I didn't really, it wasn't like when you straighten out and think, okay, I get my breath, kick the board and hold it. I was making it. And then that first impact was so violent, so heavy. Like I can't even explain it, how heavy. It completely knocked any fight out of me. It was like my whole being knew there's no fight in this. It just like put me into full surrender. And I just think, oh shit, man, like you really have done it now. Like you're in the worst spot you can be in pretty much. So boom, I'm just taking this pounding. I'm like, just hold it, just hold, wait, it's gonna come. I'm trying to pull my vest, and I'm like having a hard time with this arm and trying to pull. I couldn't find it, but I realized that it went off. It went off on impact, and I'm like, oh my God, thank God. But now I'm getting drilled so deep, and I'm still in the aerated water, and finally it goes still, it lets me go. I'm deep. Now all of a sudden the pressurized water hits me, and it's bing! I feel like my ears just ringing. I can feel my head turned. I don't know which way's up, so I'm waiting for the flotation to bring me up. I was like upside down. It floats me up. I start floating up. I'm still just like, just hold, calm, just wait. And I go to swim and swim with my arms, and I just feel this crazy pain in my elbow. It hurt too bad, but I didn't know what it was. I thought I got a stinger, hit my elbow or something. Okay. Float up. I'm waiting, floating up. Get to the surface, and then there's still like a couple feet of foam, right? And I can feel that. It's like, wow, I still can't take a breath, even though I'm like on the surface. You can't swim up through the foam. So it's this another second or two at least of like waiting, come up from the foam. I'm like trying to get a breath, and the moment I look this way, the next wave, the white water, it was bigger than the one I was on, and it's right there. Like, thank God it wasn't further away, because I would have seen how big it was and I would have been more terrified, but it was just white water in my face, and I just took the breath I had, and then I started really taking it. Then I was like half a breath after already being held down almost 30 seconds, 25 seconds probably. And now I'm getting pounded, drilled. I can feel my arm. I'm like, it hurts. It's like a stinger, you know, it hurts, but I'm just trying to hold on. I'm starting to get the feelings of needing oxygen, whatever it is. And I start, all the thoughts start going. I'm like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Like, what happens if I pass out? If I pass out, does my body just instinctively, is the reflex to breathe in? And I thought, wow, it might be. So I can't pass out, because then I'll breathe in water and I'll die. I'm like, I need to just not drown right now. And I'm just focusing, and I'm thinking, I'm like, oh man, my arm, it's hurting. Something's going on here. My arm is hurting and it feels numb. I can't feel it, but I'm just getting thrashed, right? And I'm thinking like, oh my God, they're probably really worried about me right now. I'm like, I'm kind of okay. Like, even though I still wasn't sure I was gonna live. I was like pretty sure, but it was that moment, that wave, I didn't know when it was gonna let me up, but I was getting really close to, just being out of air. Pounded, long time. Finally stops, lets me up, float up to the top again, wait for the foam. Okay, now I can see. I'm coming up with my arm up, I'm waving, I look, there's nobody, no jet skis anywhere. I look, the next big bomb of white water is coming in. There's some space now. I've got like a couple breaths to take. Look, and then I look back this way, like looking at my arm, and from I had a full black wetsuit on, right, with a hood, and then I had the white jersey. So the white jersey goes up to my sleeve right here, short sleeve, and I can't, like the white, you can't see in the white water, right? That's part of the reason I got lost. So no one could see me at this point. They didn't know where I was. But then the black part, you can see very clearly. So there's this contrast, and I look, and this part of my forearm is just like floating in the water. It's like floating up like this, like by my head and behind me. And my stomach just drops out. I just think, holy shit, I just broke my arm. I've never broken a bone in my life. I'm like, God, I just broke, like, what? I'm looking at my arm, I'm looking at this wave coming, I'm like, what the hell? Like, what the fuck? What am I doing? Shit. And then I think like, okay, grab your arm so it doesn't get ripped off. Like, grab it, do your breathing that you know. I'm all floated up, right? So I'm like trying to grab my arm over the inflation. I kind of can't. My hands are kind of numb anyway. It's freezing cold out there. Finally, like, grab it. The wave's coming. I do my dump breath. It hits me. Immediately just rips my arm right out of my grip. I'm flinging. Now I know that my arm is messed up. Now I'm still like dazed, just trying to hold it together with my breath. My arm's getting ripped, and I'm like, I'm freaking out because now not only am I getting thrashed by these waves with a force I can't even describe, but my arm's already broken as I see it, and it's just getting worse and worse. So yeah, man, I was panicking. I'm trying to grab it underwater while I'm getting tossed everywhere. And then I realized, I was like, oh shit, I'm panicking. I'm starting to panic. I'm trying to grab, I'm like wasting a bunch of oxygen, trying to get my arm here. I was like, I need to let this go. I need to make sure that I don't drown. And I just surrendered, went to the place, just dropped in, knew that, okay, I'm not breathing until I get back to the surface, so just be here. Getting ripped, thrashed, just like feeling the pain of this thing. And adrenaline's going, so it wasn't the most painful. It got more and more painful as it went on. But just holding it together, trying to hold it together to stay alive, really. And at this point I'm thinking, because I didn't see anybody when I came up before that last wave, so no one's around and underwater. I'm thinking, wow, no one saw me. I'm like, they must be really worried about me. And I'm thinking like, wow, my arm is broken. That's messed up, man. And then I'm also thinking, oh my God, my spine is okay. Oh my God, like my neck and my spine is okay. I can feel that I'm gonna be able to walk actually after this. And that brought so much peace to me, because when I had the back injury, I've been at a place where I really can't walk. And spine is no joke, no joke. So I felt grateful in that moment underwater that it wasn't worse than it was. And now I'm like starting to touch sand. And where the waves are hitting the sand, it's coming up massively. Whoosh, up the beach, and then coming back. Like so far, man. So a couple of like in and outs, and I'm like, I gotta plant myself. So I get washed up, plant my feet in the sand. I'm trying to like grab the sand, but I realize I need to hold on to my arm. It hurts so bad. Holding my arm, feet planted in the sand. I'm waiting, the water's sucking out. And I'm like holding, and there was this moment, like kind of the moment of the experience for me almost. And I'm like holding as the water's sucking out. I'm crouched down and I see Alamal, Garrett coming up on the skis. They're flying up from the water to beach the skis to run and come help. It's like, it's like slow motion. I see all the rescue guys running towards me, and I go to stand up, and I'm holding my arm, and I stand up, and I'm just like trying to get out of the water. I just want to get out of the ocean onto the land, and I stand up. And between my eardrum being busted and seeing stars from the breathing I was just doing, and I just go up, and it's just clear blue sky, and I can't get my balance. My head just keeps going up. I I just like see the sparkling blue sky, and I just keep going up and over and realize, wow, I can't walk out of here. I was like, these guys got to carry me out of here. And I just went up and over, all the way back down, laid down, trying to hold my arm. At the end, I'm just in the water, washing up. Everyone comes, they grab me. They're doing all the spinal protocols, keeping my spine together. They're holding me and trying to carry me. They're trying to hold me from the water, sucking me out, right? It's like, hold on. They're holding them while the water's sucking. And they're not really holding my arm. They're protecting my spine, thinking I'm messed up. I'm like, my spine's okay. I'm like, my arm, it hurts so bad. And trying to communicate that, whatever. I was holding it. They carry me up, put me on the bed, and cut open. Now they cut open the wetsuit to see my arm. And I didn't want to look at it. I was expecting to see my bone sticking out, broken, right? And they cut it open and cut off the wetsuit, and boom, there's not a bone sticking out, but it's like, off, man, like offset skin stretching. Like it's almost like the wetsuit was like still holding my arm on. And I kind of just like barely looked at it one time. They're like, don't look at it, don't look. And I'm like, what, no bone? They're like, there's no bone sticking out. I'm like, oh, okay. I think Garrett said, he's like, maybe it's just dislocated. And they're like, no, it's broken, it's broken. All right, and I'm just like in between, oh my God, I'm alive. I'm alive and my spine's okay and I made it to the beach. And then all of a sudden, someone will just like touch it and I feel the pain. It's just like, top of my lungs, just like screaming, letting it out. What an experience, man, jeez. I'm like looking up in the blue sky. They've got me strapped in, right? And all of a sudden, like, Garrett comes over and he's like, I see like Cody, Alamau, and you know, Garrett's like, hey buddy, he's like, how are you? He's got tears in his eyes. They're all like crying, you know, it's like, you're alive. He's like, how? He's like, your arm looks pretty bad. He's like, how was the pounding? I'm like, yeah, it was the best ever, you know, and I'm alive. Pavana, my lady, she ran down from the cliff all the way down to the sand. I'm way up the beach now and just like seeing all like my loved ones and just people. Man, it was a surreal moment of gratitude for my life. I already had a lot of experiences that built and strengthened my compassion and presence and gratitude for life and stuff. And I still forget it all the time and all this, but man, she brought me to a new level of what's important and just like being present, being grateful, literally just to be alive at any point in time. I look down, this elbow's still working on opening all the way. This one goes straight and this one, got some work to do still. So it's present with me still, all that energy, and it's very, very intense. It's very intense.